All right, folks, welcome back to the third and final hour of Middays with Q. I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We are coming at you not only on my YouTube channel, Rich Q on Q, but of course on Sports Radio 1029 FM, The Game, Southwest Florida's newest game in town. And the NFL, as we know, doesn't sleep. Our good friend Lloyd Vance, who hosts Lloyd Vance's Insider Football on said 102.9 FM, of course, in Broad Street South. Kind enough to join us as we start to wrap up a Thursday edition. The weather is starting to break. It's getting warmer, hot, humid, and the nonsense is still trickling down in the major markets, i.e., what's going on with the New York Jets. And first and foremost, I always appreciate a couple moments, my friend. How are you?
Well, doing good, Q. Glad to talk to you. We're almost near that break that every owner hates, where the players leave in late June and they don't come to camp until late July. So there's a month here, but everybody's getting ready. So a lot of good
Well,
stories around the league.
yeah, unless you're Aaron Rodgers, right? And listen, I just think this is a situation now where buyer beware, buyer's remorse. Once they signed Aaron Rodgers, they knew Aaron Rodgers was going to be the de facto GM, the de facto head coach. And I guess people are saying this is not a big story, it's a non-story. Perception is reality. The optics are bad. When you miss mandatory, even though it was an excused absence per se, if Rodgers already told the Jets and Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas way ahead of time, the coach didn't help himself out when he basically said this was an unexcused absence and he's also subject to being fined 50,000 a day. So it shows you again the disconnect. It shows you the lack of leadership. It shows you the lack of structure from top to bottom when it comes to this organization. And quite frankly, listen, I've said it for the past year. Plus, I'll say it again till I'm blue in the face. There's just a absence of leadership with the New York Jets. And again, look, you trade for Hassan Reddick, he wanted a new contract. He's not there. And then, okay, why not? Well, figure it out, right? You knew he wanted a new contract. He's not going to show up. Then you get the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. And again, I just think if Robert Saleh would have came out and said that, we knew this. It's not a big deal. He's taking care of what he's taking his care of. No more questions. Non-issue. We're good. Instead, again, it's really in a unexcused absence, but we kind of knew about it. It's like he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, which shows again he's clueless.
It's Q. And you're talking about a total disconnect organizationally. And in the past, when I covered teams, they would give veteran days off when they'd have the wink, wink smile. This guy's not here today. He has whatever. And it was always agreed upon between
Yep.
the coach, the front office, and the player. And you can see that Rodgers is going to be Rodgers. He still wants to dictate the situation. Uh, he should be there. I know the end of last year, he kind of taking his shots at Zach Wilson, talking about, if you're a leader, you're here all the time, you're in the building, you're doing the work, etc. And now he turns around and does this. And
Yeah.
it does not paint a good picture for a team that, as you're alluding to, Q, has not been to the playoffs since 2013. Over 11 years, and every other team has been in the playoffs except these guys, and they have a lot of work to do. Aaron Rodgers, almost 41 years old, coming off that bad Achilles injury, and this team has to win now. So many veterans we talked about on this team, that basically the over the hill gang, and they got to put this thing together and get it working early. And not to say apples to apples, but Tom Brady, think of him when he went down to Tampa Bay. It was COVID, and he was getting in trouble in 2020 for having, practice at a
Catches.
local high
Yep.
school when he shouldn't. He's over there with Byron Leftwich from day one at his house, working on playbook, trying to get on the same page. And I don't know if it's the arrogance of Rodgers or he feels he's so comfortable with Hackett in his playbook, but he needs to be there with his teammates and get ready for the upcoming season.
Well, the thing is, listen, he's away from the team for 2 days in June. Maybe someone's going to say it has no impact. Okay, fine. Then again, it's a non-story if the head coach, Robert Salah, who once again, goes into the season on the friggin' hot seat. Basically says, you know what, Aaron's away from the team. We knew about this a month ago. It's a non-issue, but that's not the case. And for a quarterback that dangled the carrot and toyed with the Jet fans, I guess you can say, minds and psyche last season by saying, I'm going to come back after 5 months, 6 months of a torn Achilles. And then he got bailed out because the team physicians and the doctors didn't sign off on his return. He got bailed out there. So for a guy that kept saying, I'm coming back, it's going to be a great story, going on McAfee saying this, that, the other thing, whale, whatever he was rubbing on his calf. I don't even know what the hell was going on. By all that, and then you're chomping at the bit, and yet you don't show up. That's the problem. And this to me has the makings of just imploding. I don't care about the talent. I don't care about the defense. I don't care about the roster. I just have a feeling that Aaron Rodgers, this was a situation where he wanted to stick it to Green Bay, didn't want to retire. Here you go, New York, major market. If it's any other city, any other team, any other market, any other quarterback, we're not even talking about it today. But it's New York, it's Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets, I believe, will have a substantial amount of egg on their face once the season starts and when he starts to struggle. And it's just a bad look all around. That's all. That's just my opinion.
He spun out much like Brett Favre did when he went to New York. It's a different game plan and everything in New York. So many eyes on you. This is not Green Bay. You're not controlling the narrative. And the NFL is putting this team front and center. They have 5 games in prime time. They're going to England, and it's going to be a train wreck and a soap opera. And we'll see how it plays out right there in front of all the eyeballs.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to play out very well, to be quite honest with you. I just look at this team and I just feel as though um, there's a disconnect. And if they start off sluggish, if they struggle, if the offense struggles, if Roger starts chirping, and again, people can say all they want, it's a non-story. Yeah, well, it is a story, period. And you're right, apples and oranges, Tom Brady. I mean, listen, he wanted to get more reps in, right? Funny you mentioned Brady. They retire him last night with New England, 67,000, 70,000 show, which is just amazing in its own right. That's kind of the effect that Brady has. I don't think you're going to get that with Aaron Rodgers when the day comes. The other news, a couple other news and notes as well, abbreviated edition of Middays with Q with our good friend Lloyd Vance. So no tampering when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. There was some thought, tampered a little bit here and there for Saquon Barkley. Okay, they don't get pinched, but guess who does get pinched, right? The Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousins. So for those that are just tuning in, the Falcons will forfeit, and I want to pull it up and be accurate. I don't know if you have it in front of you as well. What do we got here? They will forfeit 2000 and a fifth round pick in 2025, fined 250,000 for violating the NFL's anti-tampering policy related to free agent signings. And the Philadelphia Eagles were cleared of tampering while signing running back Saquon Barkley. I mean, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I just every team tampers, man. Come on.
They do, and it's an unspoken rule, and that's why they've opened the free agency tampering period, where these guys can be signed right away. It was always the big joke. Oh, we were waiting in their front yard with the contract as soon as 12 midnight hit. But it's a situation where it's going to hurt Fontenot, their general manager down there, and in terms of just draft day, and you they don't worry about the fines and all that stuff. It's the draft day capital, and they're going to probably miss out on a good young player forfeiting that picks. And we've seen other teams lose picks, and some have done well in that situation. Others have kind of they need those young players for the lifeblood of their team.
Yeah, we know the running back market's pretty much been reset over the last year plus, but then we also saw how it kind of came back down to life. Running back Alvin Kamara with the Saints, absent from their final practice mandatory minicamp Thursday. That, according to his agent, who told NFL Network, his absence was contract related, so he wants a new contract.
Yeah, and it's that time of year. I call it. I used to have. I publish every year. I used holdout watch list queue, and it's all these guys talking tough this time of year because they want a new contract. Guys like Hassan Reddick, and they're not reporting, and the fines are what they are. They may have reporting bonuses that they're missing out on, but once training camp hits and it's $40,000 or so per missed day because they're under contract, these guys are going to start showing up.
Yeah. I mean, they have no other choice. They don't, none of them want to lose that type of money. None of them do. Again,
They
Lloyd Vance, couple
they
minutes.
shouldn't queue.
What's
Yeah,
that?
they shouldn't queue. They shouldn't. I just saw that Lamar Jackson
Yeah.
forfeited $750,000 because he missed the mandatory. God bless him
That's
if he can give that kind of type of money away.
Yeah, it's utterly ridiculous when you think about it. I mean, really utterly ridiculous. Again, a couple minutes, Lloyd Vance as we're wrapping up Middays with Q on this Thursday edition. Rich Quinones here. Lloyd Vance does a great job covering his own show, Sports Radio 1029 FM. It's Lloyd Vance's Insider Football. That's where you can catch Middays with Q, part of Broad Street South, as well on my YouTube channel. And I was thinking about this too, with Tom Brady last night, and I know we've touched on this. I mean, the impact that Brady had, I think the only other quarterback that will probably have this argument because of what he's meant to his city is going to be Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City when he retires, right? I'm not talking about some of these young guys, but look at all the Super Bowls, the accolades, the MVP, the stats, the numbers for Tom. And then you look at Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's just, he's chasing Brady. He's the quarterback right now that's going to try to chase Brady.
Yes, Kieran, you're talking about legacy and a statue outside his stadium, and that's what Brady's getting. I hearken to like Johnny Unitas and what he meant to the city of Baltimore. His long historic career there, and he's still reviled after the teams in Indianapolis. They have a statue of him outside their stadium there, and that's what Mahomes is working towards, his legacy. He's already won 3 Super Bowls. He's got he's been to 4 of them. And he doesn't he's not showing any signs of rust. He's only going to be 28 years old this year, and he seems to be ascending even further.
All right, so I know tomorrow, next week, we'll get back into looking at some of these win totals with some of these divisions, preseason outlook as well. We'll do that on BYP. Lloyd's going to join us next week as well as Middays with Q. Give him a follow at Lloyd Vance on X social media platforms, and of course, Lloyd Vance's Insider Football. That's going to be Mondays at 8 o'clock.
Mondays 8 o'clock on 1029 The Game.
Yeah, there you have it. Sports Radio 1029 FM, The Game, Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Don't forget to download the app. And Lloyd's always kind enough to join us for a couple of moments. Appreciate you putting a bow on this Thursday edition of Middays with Q, my friend. Thank you.
All right, Q, thanks for having me on.